people, welcome to Prep Elevate. Today we will start with the CAT 21 questions. So first let us discuss the odd questions slot by slot and then we'll move to the other questions as well. So in CAT 21, we had 2 questions per slot for odd sentences and we are going to discuss all of them gradually. So this is the first question on the screen. This appeared in slot 1, CAT 21 slot 1. Okay. Now the drill remains the same. First we'll do a bit of skimming just to understand the difficulty level and then we'll approach the question in depth. And my earnest request to you people is please try the question on your own and then come back and look at the answer for a better understanding, right? So let's just start with the skimming process. Remember, there is no structure to skimming. Okay, so legal status, ambiguous, change, exploration, outer space, laws, first steps, US law. I have seen law twice. So maybe it has something to do with some, see, there was legal status also. Kuch to laws, yeah, legal status. And there is something like outer space also. So maybe laws related to space. Critics, authority, Russia, disrespect, commercial activity, private firms, space. Okay, more or less what I've understood is this has something to do with laws regarding space or commercial activity in space. At least the words indicate that. I'll have to read the sentences in depth to understand. But more or less, this looks like a question that I would like to attempt. Why? The length of the sentences are shorter, so they seem manageable. Second, it does not have a host of unfamiliar or difficult words, so I'll not have to pause after every word to understand what it means. So more or less, I would like to attempt this question under exam scenario. Okay, let's read in depth. And remember, we are looking for the odd statement. So 4 of the statements would be connected in some way, and one which is not connected, okay, or not directly connected, let us say, then that happens to be the odd one. So legal status of resources mined in space remains ambiguous. Ambiguous is something that is not clear, something that is not certain, okay? So that is something that is unclear. That is ambiguous. So legal status of resources mined in space remains ambiguous, and while the market for asteroid minerals is currently non-existent, this is likely to change as technical hurdles diminish. Diminish is reduce. Diminish is a better word for reduce. Okay, so what does the first statement talk about? It says that for all the resources which are mined in space, who actually has ownership over those, right? It remains ambiguous, it remains unclear as to who will have, let's say, ownership, or how are we going to utilize those resources, or what are we going to do about it. That remains ambiguous or unclear, the legal status. And currently there is no such market, no such established market for asteroid minerals. So let's say whatever minerals we can obtain from asteroids, there is no such market to refine it, or to present it in a structured fashion. But author feels that this could change as we are able to reduce the technical hurdles. So might be that in future we have more sophisticated tools to refine those minerals, and then we'll be able to establish an industry around it. Who knows? But currently the legal status remains unclear. Okay. Second statement: outer space is a commons and all of it is open for exploration. Obviously, the space does not belong to any nation, any country. It is open for all. However, space law developed in the 1950s and 60s is state-centric and arguably is suited to a commercial future. Although outer space is open to all, but the set of rules that we have defined so far, right, the space laws in the 1950s and 60s, it seems to be very state-centric. That means the laws seem suited to the state which has created those laws, right? It seems tilted in their favor, let's say. Okay. Third statement: Laws adopted by the US and Luxembourg are first steps, but they only protect firms from competing claims by their compatriots. Who are compatriots? Are, people who belong to the same country as you, right? A Chinese company will not be bound by the US law. Okay, so now we are moving towards a time where there are certain countries who are defining laws, right? That these are the laws that we'll be governed by as far as space exploration is concerned, or like this asteroid minerals is concerned, and all of those stuff. But the countries, they are few in number, and still they are in the process of creating these laws. And the second thing is, only the people who belong to that same country will be bound by those laws, right? So Chinese company will not be bound by laws of the US, the space laws of the US. So currently there is no uniformity as such. So we have state centric laws. Okay, so far the three statements, the key themes, if you have been reading it carefully, the words which are repeated, what were the words which were repeated? Space laws, right? And the countries and legal status, which remains ambiguous, which remains unclear. And then we were talking about how space is open to all, but the laws seem to be very state centric, right? This is what we have discussed so far. Fourth one, critics say the US is conferring rights that it has no authority to confer. Russia, in particular, has condemned. What is the meaning of condemnation? Okay, when you condemn something, is a strong form of protest. Okay, when you don't agree with something and you voice it, you vocalize your, like you vocalize your hatred towards it, let's say, that is how you condemn something. Okay, a strong form of protest. Citing the US's disrespect for international law. Forget everything that we have discussed so far, बस इस statement पे focus करो. Are you able to find anything which is related to space, space laws, space exploration, or let's say asteroid industry, minerals industry? कुछ भी ऐसा word मिला क्या? नहीं ना. Very cleverly they have put in a sentence which discusses laws or what is the reaction to these laws, let's say. But कौन सा law? They have not mentioned anything. ये स्पेस से रिलेटेड लॉ है, ये किस चीज के बारे में इंटरनेशनल लॉज है, व्हाट इज दिस इंटरनेशनल लॉ ऑल अबाउट? क्या ये पीस से रिलेटेड इंटरनेशनल लॉ है, क्या ये ट्रेड से रिलेटेड इंटरनेशनल लॉ है, विच लॉ आर वी टॉकिंग अबाउट? सो यहाँ पे whenever you read such statements, this should ring a bell that probably this could be the odd one. अभी लास्ट सेंटेंस पढ़ते हैं. At issue now is commercial activity as private firms rather than nation states look to space for profit. देखो ये सारे statements में ना you will find something related to space, future aspects related to commercial space, commercial activity. Only the fourth statement does not talk about any of this, but it is over generalized. वो कुछ तो laws के बारे में बात हो रही है, कुछ तो they are talking about like how US is disrespecting the international law, but they have not mentioned anything about space or commercial activity conducted in space, or let's say future aspects of it. That is why this happens to be the odd statement. अब काफी लोगों को ये आदत होती है कि वो बाकी स्टेटमेंट्स को एक सीक्वेंस में अरेंज करने की कोशिश करते हैं. इट्स नॉट अ बैड वे, जस्ट दैट समटाइम्स इट कुड बी टाइम कंज्यूमिंग. सो अगर डायरेक्टली आपको एक ऐसा स्टेटमेंट दिख जा रहा है विच इज नॉट डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड, then you could very well just spot it out and mark it as the odd sentence. The reverse is also true. Sometimes you might find connections or try to find connections between four statements, and the one that you're not able to put in that sequence, you automatically say that okay, this is the odd one out. Whatever works for you and whatever time permits. ठीक है? So this was the question. I would definitely say this was an easy take under exam conditions. ये बहुत easily visible था. ठीक है? चलो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. विल स्टार्ट विथ स्किमिंग एंड देन विल प्रोसीड फॉर द इन डेप्थ डिस्कशन. डार्क साइड, एकेडमिक रिसर्च, centered predatory journals. Who are predators? Predators are wild animals which prey, right? Prey, prey वाला prey, ठीक है? pray वाला prey नहीं, who hunt other animals down. They are predators. And when I say predatory journals, so probably we are talking about metaphorically some form of exploitation. ठीक है? Truth, pay, anything published. दो statements पढ़ के क्या समझ में आया? कुछ तो journal, publishing, some academic research, ये तो क्लियरली वर्ड्स दिख रहे हैं। एंड ये सेंटेंसेस को सबसे पहले देखो, बारिंग स्टेटमेंट 4 and 5, 3 statements are easily readable because of the length, right? So ये तो definitely this should be one of the question that I attempt under exam conditions. Look and feel, exactly, journal, influential databases, editorial, scientist, rigorous peer review structure, large section of research, receiving end of nothing short of an academic publishing scam. So kuch to they are talking about, what goes underneath the research articles which are published, right? So एक चीज हमें ये भी समझनी है कि 4 और 5, these were the lengthier sentences in this entire bunch, right? फिर भी they did not have a lot of difficult words. So सिर्फ लेंदी होने से वो डिफिकल्ट नहीं हो जाता है क्वेश्चन, अगर वर्ड्स फेमिलियर हैं, रीडेबल हैं, सो डेफिनेटली यू शुड ऑप्ट फॉर सच क्वेश्चंस। ठीक है, चलो अभी इसको सॉल्व करते हैं। ओके, ठीक है। There is a dark side to academic research, especially in India, and at its center is the phenomenon of predatory journals. So what is the dark side to this research? There are some journals which exploit the talent of these, scientists or researchers, right? But in truth, as long as you pay, you can get anything published. So ये जो लिखा रहता है ना ऐसे स्टेटमेंट्स, बट इन ट्रूथ, मतलब कुछ तो कॉन्ट्रडिक्टरी हो रहा है ना, मतलब कहीं तो शायद हम ये बिलीव कर रहे हैं दैट यू हैव टू बी रियली जेन्युइन and really authentic to get your work published, or the journal has to be really a reputed one to get your work published, so that you are taken seriously in the scientific forum. जब भी ऐसे स्टेटमेंट्स आते हैं ना बट इन ट्रूथ, तो ऐसा लगना चाहिए कि कुछ तो कॉन्ट्रडिक्टरी हमने डिस्कस किया है, बट इन ट्रूथ दिस इज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग। ठीक है, in look and feel thus they are exactly like any reputed journal. They matlab maybe the journals which are predatory, so they matlab the journals which exploit, in look and feel they are exactly like any other authentic journal. क्यों है authentic? They claim to be indexed in the most influential databases. They have found their presence in the most influential databases. Say they possess editorial boards that comprise top scientists and researchers. So what are the statements that they put forth in their defense? That we are listed in the most trustworthy databases. Our team comprises top scientists and researchers whose academic intellect you could rely on, and also claim to have a rigorous peer review structure. Okay, so they have all the features which make them, at least in look and feel, very close or exactly the same like any other reputed journal that you could trust. 4 sentences अभी तक connected ही लग रहे हैं, where we were talking about academic research, and mostly we were talking about journals, that how these journals, the predatory journals, in look and feel they are very very similar to any other reputed journal that you could look at. But a large section of researchers and scientists across the world are at the receiving end of nothing short of an academic publishing scam. अब देखो अचानक से हम साइंटिस्ट और रिसर्चर्स के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू पर आ गए। अभी तक हमने सिर्फ जर्नल्स डिस्कस किया था। फर्स्ट लाइन वाज द इंट्रोडक्शन टू प्रेडेटरी जर्नल्स, ठीक है, एंड देन इन लुक एंड फील दे आर एग्जैक्टली लाइक एनी अदर जर्नल. They claim to be indexed, the features that make them very authentic वो डिस्कस हुआ. एंड एक स्टेटमेंट ऐसा भी था जिसने बोला कि इन ट्रूथ एज लॉन्ग एज यू कैन पे यू कैन गेट एनीथिंग पब्लिश्ड, राइट? सो ये चारों स्टेटमेंट्स तो वो जर्नल्स के बारे में है, ठीक है. बट द लास्ट स्टेटमेंट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट, लेट्स से, द पेन दैट द authentic researchers and scientists go through when they have to get their work published. So they are at the receiving end of a huge scam. So अचानक से ही पर्सपेक्टिव बदल गया, ठीक है. We were discussing about journals and suddenly we started discussing about researchers and scientists. So ये closely related, something like a father-daughter relationship, but बाकी 4 statements directly related हैं to the core topic. This could be something that we discuss in at length if if this was an essay or this was a let's say a composition that you write, maybe ये कभी तो आता, but अभी के लिए ये odd statement है, ठीक है. दिस वाज आल्सो एन इजी क्वेश्चन. क्वेश्चंस इजी थे और स्टेटमेंट्स के तो इजी थे एटलीस्ट कैट 21 के. इफ यू हैव प्रैक्टिस अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ ऑड सेंटेंसेस यू कुड स्पॉट दीज इजीली. क्वेश्चंस भी इजी थे, वर्ड्स भी फेमिलियर थे. ठीक है, सो कीप प्रैक्टिसिंग and we'll discuss the other questions in the upcoming video. Thank you so much.